I gained 8 pounds on spring break. Yes, that is 8 pounds in 5 days. And so today I'm going to share with you exactly where I went wrong so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made when you're off on vacation. And I'm also going to share with you what I'm doing to get back on track. Now stick around to the end of this video because I am going to answer a question from one of our Get Fit community members. Now if you're new here, I'm Ursula. I lost 70 pounds in 9 months, primarily by cleaning up my eating, eliminating processed sugar, running, and strength training. After losing the 70 pounds, I had a tummy tuck, and then I went on to lose an additional 16 pounds training for a marathon. So this weight loss journey in total, I've lost approximately 90 pounds. And so you would think that I would know exactly how to plan in advance for a 5-day vacation. And I did. I had my game plan down, but let me share with you exactly where I went wrong. The first mistake I made was that I gave in to the fruity drinks. I am a sucker for the pretty fruity drinks with the umbrella and the fruit on the side. Now, I don't drink alcohol, so all of my drinks are non-alcoholic, but we were on a cruise and the servers kept passing by with these pretty fruity drinks. And finally, I looked at my husband and I said, I want one. And so I ordered the fruity drink. Now, that wasn't the mistake. The mistake was I did not stop at one. I had another and another. And if you know anything about these fruity drinks, they are nothing but pure sugar. And remember, I don't eat a lot of processed sugar. So here I am drinking all of this sugar one behind the other. I can feel the sugar hit my bloodstream. I can feel the insulin trying to rush in and counteract all the sugar that's hitting my bloodstream. And I did not stop at one. So that was my first mistake. Not that I gave into temptation and I had a drink, but that I had more than one. The second mistake that I made was that I didn't stick to the plan when it came to eating throughout the course of the day. Now, I started off great, and if you know anything about cruises, they tend to have places where you can sit down and eat, but they also have buffets. And for most of the day, that buffet is open, and it has all different types of food, anything you can imagine, they have it. And so I started out really good on this buffet. I was going for the chicken and I was going for the fruit and the vegetables. But then somewhere along the line, I kind of ventured off. Oh, that looks good. Let me have a little bit of that. Oh, is that potato salad? Let me try a little bit of potato salad. Let me try a little bit of macaroni and cheese. And the next thing you know, my plate is full of all of these carbs and no protein whatsoever. And so mistake number 2 for me on this vacation was I did not stick to the nutrition plan. I kind of veered off course with my eating and I just kept eating more carbs and less protein as the days went on. The third mistake that I made that led me to gain 8 pounds in 5 days was that I reduced my calorie burn. So I got my hair done right before the trip and I didn't want to spend vacation washing and curling hair. And so I decided that instead of running throughout the course of the week, I was just simply going to walk, because when I run, I tend to sweat in my hair really bad and I have to wash my hair and blow dry it and curl it. And I didn't want to do any of that. We're on vacation, right? And so I decided to just simply walk on the days where I would have otherwise been running at home. But what that simply did was reduce the number of calories that I was burning per day. Because whereas I was walking for 60 minutes on the treadmill during vacation, I would have been running and burning more than double the number of calories over the same time period. And so now here I am, I'm burning less calories, I'm drinking some sugary drinks, and I'm eating more carbs and less protein. It was a recipe for gaining weight. The fourth mistake I made was that I wasn't taking in nearly enough water on this trip. I should have been drinking a lot more water than I was drinking. But what happened, I reduced my water intake because I was drinking all the fruity drinks. And so therefore I was not flushing out all of this sugar from the drinks and all the sodium from the foods that I was eating off the buffet. And if you know anything about water retention, the quickest way to retain water weight is to not drink a lot of water, but to eat a lot of sodium. Your body will absorb water from the food and other things that you intake, and it will hold on to it. And that is exactly what happened to me. So I know that some of these pounds are certainly water weight pounds because I was dehydrated throughout the course of the trip. I was not drinking nearly enough water to flush out the sugar and the sodium that I was taking in. So now that I've shared with you the mistakes that I made on this trip that led me to gain 8 pounds in 5 days, let me share with you exactly what I'm doing about it. So the first thing that I'm doing is self-reflection and accountability. And this video is just that. I am looking back over what went wrong, where did I veer off plan, and how could I have avoided it and taken accountability for my actions. One of the worst things that we do on weight loss journeys is that we try to do the same things over and over again and expect something different to happen. That's what you call insanity. So you have to take stock of what went wrong so that we know how we change that in the future. And then you just have to hold yourself accountable to it. Now, I could have wallowed in my grief and said, oh my goodness, I gained 8 pounds. I don't know how that happened. I know exactly how that happened. I just gave you the 4 mistakes that I made. And so I am here and taking accountability for my actions. And I know that those actions led to the weight gain. So my first action item was to simply self-reflect and take accountability. The second thing that I did was I got back on track immediately. So our vacation ended on a Thursday. I got on the scale on Friday morning, realized I was up 8 pounds and said, okay, time to get back on track right now. Now in past journeys, what I would have done was said, oh my gosh, I'm up 8 pounds. Oh well, let me go eat something. Let's make it 10 pounds. Oh, it's a Friday. Who gets back on track on a Friday? I can eat good throughout the weekend and I'll start again on Monday. And what happens? Monday comes and now I'm up 12 pounds and I'm still not back on track. And so the second thing I did was immediately got back on track. Got on the scale, saw the number. It was like, okay, that's the end of that. Vacation's over. So how did I get back on track? One of the things that I started to do immediately was to drink more water because I knew that I needed to flush that sugar and that sodium out of my body. And so I just started drinking more water, pure water. Didn't have anything else over the course of the day, just pure water. And I had about 80 ounces of water for the day. The next thing that I did was I tracked my food for the day because of course, we're on spring break. I certainly didn't track over the course of the 5 days, which is what led to the weight gain. And so I immediately got right back on track. My first meal of the day was a high protein meal and I made sure that I logged it into MyFitnessPal. I needed to get back on track. I needed to get in the habit of logging everything that I ate so that I could see it in black and white. So I could actually see whether or not I was in a calorie deficit. So the second thing for me was to get back on track immediately. No wallowing in self-pity, no deciding to blow it all weekend because, hey, it's the weekend, and no waiting until Monday. I got back on track that Friday morning. The third thing that I did was I pulled out my meal plan and I made a grocery list. Now, if you're part of the Blast Fat Get Fit Blueprint program, you have this meal plan that I'm talking about. But I pulled out that meal plan and I sat down and I wrote out exactly what I was going to purchase from the grocery store. And then I physically went into the store. Now, this action was so important because I am creating a physical mental connection with the healthy food that I'm about to eat for the next week. And this is the breakdown of that connection. Taking the time to sit down and write out the grocery list was one touch point. Having to get in the car, go to the grocery store, and physically pick up the items was a second touch point. And then you have to transfer those foods from the cart to the conveyor belt if you're going to a cashier, or you have to transfer them from the cart to the bag if you're doing self-scan. So that's a third touch point. And then when you get home, you have to unbag those groceries and put them away. So that's 4 touch points that I have created with the healthy food that I'm going to eat for the following week, and I mentally prepare my mind to eat this food. Now, typically what I would have done to save time is I would have ordered my groceries online. And whether you go into the store and you pick them up after you order them online or you have them delivered to you, you're missing a lot of those touch points by doing that. And so it was so important to me that I physically went into the grocery store because I needed those additional touch points to make that physical mental connection with getting back on track and eating those nutritious foods for the next week. Next thing that I did was to set a goal for the next 7 weeks. Now, I have marathon training that starts in approximately 7 weeks, and my original plan was to take this time, the next 7 weeks, and I wasn't going to follow any type of training plan whatsoever. I was just going to be sure I ran a few miles, a few times a week, and I got in my strength training. But I decided that my goal is to train for a half marathon over these 7 weeks leading up to marathon training. And so I pulled out a half marathon training plan, and I'm just going to simply follow that training plan in addition to getting in my strength training 4 to 5 times a week. So now I have a plan and I don't have to think about it. Whereas before, I wasn't planning to follow a plan, and it was just going to be me having to decide every day, okay, what exactly are you doing for movement? Now I have a plan, I know what it is, and I just simply pull out the training plan, and that is what I do for that day. And that is going to keep me on track for the next 7 weeks leading up until marathon training. Now notice I didn't say that I had a weight loss goal. While I know that I am up 8 pounds, I have no weight loss goal at the end of this thing. I just simply know that if I follow the plan, if I'm following the meal plan, if I'm following my movement plan, if I'm drinking my water, if I'm in a calorie deficit, if I'm focusing on protein, I know that those things work, and I know that I will eventually shed the weight. So I don't have a need to do daily weigh-ins. I don't have a need to set a weight loss goal. I am just simply focused on following the plan and training up for this half marathon over the course of 7 weeks. And if I do that and I stay consistent with that plan, then I know the weight loss will follow. I'll be sure to update you in a future video. All right, so I'm going to answer a question from one of our Get Fit community members. Aaron Lolly 3770 asked, what are your favorite proteins? So Aaron, thank you so much for the question. I eat a lot of chicken and turkey and fish. I don't tend to eat a lot of beef simply because my husband doesn't eat it, so I don't cook or eat a lot of it. I also like things like broccoli and nuts and chia seeds and flax seeds and eggs. So those are some of the ways that I get in my protein. I also like to supplement my protein intake with protein shakes and protein powders. Now, I like protein shakes and protein powders because they're convenient. I typically can get in at least 30 grams of protein in one protein shake, and I can get in enough protein without a lot of volume in my stomach. And so I really like to supplement with protein shakes as well as protein powders. My favorite go-to protein shake at the moment is Premier Protein, and I also use Isopure unflavored protein powder as well. Thank you for the great question, Aaron. Alright, so I hope this video has been helpful to you so that you know exactly what to do and what not to do on your next vacation. And if you do like I did and go on vacation and go completely off the rails, then you have a game plan to get back on track. So if it has been helpful to you, take a moment and give it a thumbs up and hit the share button. Share this with your family and your friends because summer is coming and we all need to know how to stay on track during vacation. And if you haven't joined the community yet, take a moment, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you here as part of the Get Fit community. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.